There are 3 strict criteria which entitles a student to be named valedictorian at Olentangy Orange High School. These criteria include the student who has earned the highest cumulative grade point average in the class, the student who has taken the highest number of advanced placement credits and has maintained A's in all of his or her courses, and the student who has taken the highest number of advanced placement credits and who has the highest cumulative grade point average. This year, 1 student has demonstrated achievement in all 3 of these areas. Please welcome our class of 2011 valedictorian, Matthew Van Vliet. He will share a few thoughts with us this afternoon. Matthew.
Before I begin, I would like to congratulate the class of 2011. I would also like to thank the administration for giving me the honor to speak on their behalf today. In the weeks leading up to today, all people ever talked to me about was this speech. Teachers would ask if I had started writing it yet. My friends would ask what it was going to be about. My parents would ask when it was going to be done. It seemed like my whole high school existence boiled down to the 2 minutes I would spend addressing my graduating class. I quickly found out that I had no idea how to write a commencement address, or even what to write it about. So I did a little research online, talked to some students and teachers, and was generally bombarded with advice on speech writing. According to all of this advice, I needed to include an introduction, personal stories, humor, timeless message, class memories, advice, a neat closing line, acknowledgments, and the list goes on. I even read several commencement speeches given to the graduates of Harvard and Princeton by celebrities and famous business people. After all of this, what I've come to understand is that it's my responsibility in speaking to my peers today to make sense of this confusing thing we call high school. In thinking about high school and in writing this speech, I had some trouble deciding if this would be a valedictorian speech or a commencement speech, because by definition, they're 2 very different things. A valedictorian is literally someone who says goodbye. So that speech would be about looking back and remembering the past. A commencement, however, is a beginning. That speech would be about looking forward and thinking about the future. These seem like 2 fundamentally opposite actions. But, as it turns out, the same part of the brain that recalls details from the past also constructs our view of the future. In fact, these 2 processes aren't that different after all. Maybe the way to understand what high school is really about is to look forward to what we will all do now that it is over. All the work that we put into high school is paying off this afternoon when we get our diplomas. We've reached the destination that we've been heading for most of our lives, graduation. As a result, no more waking up at 6 a.m. to go to class, no more eating lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning, and no more running from class to class while grabbing our textbooks from our lockers. But now that we're graduating, the question becomes, what are we going to do with our education? With apologies to Mr. Bates, Mrs. Burcham, and Miss Lanthorn, there are only a few of us who will genuinely use all of the calculus that we learned in high school. But to their credit, all of us will need to know the problem-solving skills that comes along with it. With apologies to Mr. McKibben, Mrs. Repko, and Mrs. Skelton, unless one of us makes it onto Jeopardy, we probably won't ever need to know the plot and symbolism of Jane Eyre or of Mice and Men. But to their credit, reading for understanding is an important skill in any line of work. And finally, with apologies to Mrs. Johnston, Mrs. Kovach, and especially Mrs. Mamiah, not everyone needs to know how to balance a chemical reaction or how to find the proper stoichiometric ratios. But to their credit, all of us should know that lighting methane bubbles in our hands is pretty awesome. But still I ask, what are we going to do with these skills that we've acquired? When I see our class, I see a lot of potential. There are many bright and talented individuals among us. We have some great artists, musicians, writers, scientists, engineers, doctors, lawyers, computer programmers, and teachers in the making. There's no doubt that we can go on to do big things wherever we go, whether it be college, the military, or straight into the workforce. High school isn't the end of our education, it's just the beginning because it provides building blocks for what we do afterward. That is the great thing about high school. It prepares you to go on to do something bigger and better. Before I go, I would like to thank all the teachers for their hard work and dedication. We wouldn't have the success we do without all of your help and inspiration. I would also like to personally thank my parents and everyone's parents for their support. We wouldn't be here today without your guidance and understanding. And I would like to say goodbye to all the seniors and good luck in whatever you do. For those of you going to Miami University next year, go Red Hawks! And for those of you going to Ohio University next year, go Red Hawks! Thank you.